Hey everybody. I am super excited. This week I am talking with my cousin Jason and his son Liam, who is a shred machine. The kid's been playing guitar for a couple of years now. He's better than I am. And I could not be more proud.
I
Um,
don't know about that now.
honestly, I love you guys so much. Let's talk about music.
Let's do
Um,
it.
Liam,
Mhm.
so what was the first band that you really dug that like made you like the hair on your arm stand up and made you kind of go, okay, music is really cool and I think I want to do this?
Oh, definitely Van Halen. All day. Some of the Eddie's tapping licks, they sounded like endless, almost like he played different parts and just layered the tracks on top of him. It was really cool. So that's really what got me. Like Eruption especially, I just thought it was like that's impossible. There's no way. So that was probably Van Halen if I had to.
I heard Van Halen when I was 10 years old, and the the girls next door, they put up a tent in their backyard and they had a sleepover. um, and they had a record player and they were playing Van Halen, and I heard Eruption and I was just like, what is that? And it was the weirdest thing. And looking at the record, the actual album cover and the four on the back, and Michael Anthony's bass was on fire and all of this, just it looked larger than life, and it was a little intimidating too, but the songs just absolutely crushed. And that kind of made me lose my appeal for Kiss and kind of gravitate to Van Halen and Aerosmith after that.
Yeah,
Jason, what was yours? I mean,
my very first band
yeah.
that made the hair on my arms stand up. Um, wow. I love Queen. My mother, we used to play Queen when we were little, and they used to be part of her aerobics tapes. And we used to dance around the house to Queen. And that was the very first band that got me so excited about music. And I've never been the same since. And you, of all people, showed me all the good stuff when I was very young, and the Joe Satriani and the Steve Vais, and yeah, I my musical love comes from you. It really does. I know I say that all the time, but you've always been my musical muse.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
And Queen is my all-time favorite band.
all time.
I have a deep love of Van Halen, and I have a really deep love of the Shreds, but Queen, something about it, like they're they're Queen 2.
Hmm.
Um, Queen 2, the black side where it starts with Ogre Battle. I think Fairy Feller's Master Stroke, how it goes into Nevermore and March of the Black Queen. Those three songs are written by three different people, but they segue in like it's one long connected piece of music, and it's,
Story, right?
it's absolutely gorgeous. The
Right.
song Fairy Feller's Master Stroke
Right.
was written by Freddie about a painting. There's a painting called Fairy Feller's Master Stroke, and all the lyrics in the song are what's going on in this painting. It's really, really cool.
Oh wow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
it's absolutely insane that he wrote this amazing piece of music about this painting.
And actually, I'm pretty sure. So I talk about my mom and vinyl, and that's how she used to make her tapes. Um, that guitar that you have in your hand, I think, is made from a Queen Killers vinyl that was my mother's that you
Uh,
got from me, wasn't it?
the pit guard is actually Billy Joel,
Oh, it is.
but I have the Queen album that you gave me. I have it framed in the
Okay.
studio
Okay. I
behind.
wasn't sure whether you made the pick guard out of it or not, but I
I
do
was
remember
the
I
Queen
wanted you to
records
have
are
it.
the
So
Queen records are too precious to cut.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. But there's music with soul, man. It stands out by itself.
and the
And
songcraft that,
yep,
like, in the first couple albums were very almost prog rock,
yep,
where they had very layered and lush orchestral arrangements, and then like Killer Queen from Sheer Heart Attack into Night at the Opera and Day at the Races, that's when they got very diverse. So they'd have a song like Killer Queen, and then they'd have like Stone Cold Crazy, which was arguably the first thrash metal song.
Sure.
And you know, they had like there's a song on there called Misfire, which is like this really kind of light poppy song, but the production value of it is really intense. If you pan it hard left and hard right,
Yeah,
there are almost two separate songs going on, but then they merge beautifully because of the stereo spectrum.
right.
If you only play the left side of that song, you'll get a completely different song than if you only play the right side of that song.
Right. And I don't know if I'm mistaken or not, but I know Queen was one of the first bands that really played with pan and
Yeah.
made it sound the way, I mean, amazing, right? Put it together.
Yeah, they're absolutely my all-time favorite band.
And a beautiful segue to a band that I listen to a ton now and went to the show with you, The Darkness. They like fill that little piece of my heart that Queen left when Freddie died. Justin Hawkins is amazing. That band is stock full of guitar, like killer guitar riffs. The Darkness is my favorite. I do not go a day without listening to at least a couple of Darkness tunes.
The cool thing about like The Darkness was they came along at this time when arena rock wasn't cool.
Yeah. Okay.
And they had that.
When did Permission to Land come out? I can't even remember.
It was, I want to say late 90s. I was still yeah, it must have been late 90s, like 97, 98.
Right.
And yeah, they were really cool. And their riffs, like if you listen to just the guitar part, they have very AC/DC kind of vibe. Their riff.
Right.
And then, but they add a lot of the Queen element because of Justin's voice and because of like they play a lot with, there's a lot of sense of humor to their, and they clearly don't take themselves too seriously, which that is one of the
They make
hallmarks
fun of themselves. Totally.
Yeah, that is one of the hallmarks of bands that I absolutely love, is somebody that doesn't take themselves too seriously.
And I don't know if Dan, so it's the brothers, right? Justin and Dan. And I don't know if Dan writes the riffs, but that's just stone cold rock and roll, AED, all over the place. And Justin's just the amazing frontman. So like I said, they completely remind me of Queen, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't jam something from The Darkness.
I love The Darkness. Sonny, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
You got fox ears on.
Who's your favorite band?
Slipknot.
Slipknot? You're a Slipknot guy. Oh, okay.
Slipknot. This kid is liking Slipknot. Okay. I love that. Liam.
Yep.
So how many let's see. How many concerts have you been to now? I mean, you got to get up and jam with Exodus. How freaking cool is that?
That's probably one of my top milestones.
Yeah, your top milestones so far.
So far,
because dude, you're on your way. You're 12 years old and you're already jamming with like kings of thrash level bands. So, you know, you're poised, man. You're gonna be on stage with some big bands. But here's the thing. It's time for you to make your own band. It's time for you to put a band together. And
amen to that.
Yeah. And start off with just a bunch of friends, people that you can actually see yourself hanging out with, because that's the most important thing. It's like how well you play together is like the third on the list, because you're going to spend a lot of time with these people. You want to make it with people that you don't just hate.
Because eventually you will.
Yeah, spending hours a day, 16 hours a day with people that you can't stand, it just is torture. So
it's funny, and we talk about it a lot, that Liam's biggest attribute and his biggest enemy are the fact that he plays like a man at 12 years old, because a lot of 12-year-olds are not super hyper focused like Liam is, right? Like that is very unique of him, that it's few and far between that he finds. Like a lot of the kids that he goes to School of Rock, and we love School of Rock. It's fun. It's an opportunity for him to play with other kids or whatever. But very rarely does he find another kid that's like, man, I've already chosen what I want to do. This is my thing, and I'm focused. And I mean, it's funny, Butchie, he comes home and he's like, you know, this kid, these people don't know their parts and this and that. And he's like, I get, I want to help people, but if you don't want to put the energy in, I tried, every day I practice. I expect everyone else to do the same. And I totally get it, right? Like he's just 12 years old and ready to conquer the world, man.
Yeah. How long did it take us to have that work ethic? I mean, I didn't
I
have
don't
it.
even think I have it at this point, to tell you the truth.
I didn't have it at 12.
Yeah.
When I first started playing guitar, the bug bit me. And then I kind of went down a rabbit hole where I would come home from work and I would play for 4 hours a day. I would fall asleep with it in my arms because I was like wrecked after working a double shift or whatever, but I still had the guitar in my hand, and I'd come home and I'd be just like crashed out. And I attacked it. Sometimes it was like, oh, we're going to a party Saturday, or you guys go ahead. I'm going to stay home. I'm just going to go play guitar.
And that's this kid too. Like he has an opportunity to go play outside, and he's like, no, I'm committed. This is what I want to do. And I want to just sit inside. We don't play video games. We don't do anything. We just play music together. And that's a beautiful segue into as well. Like, like I talked about before, how you kind of gave me the guitar bug and the Joe Satriani and the Steve Vai, and I got into it. And then being a kid, I wanted to ride a skateboard or have girlfriends or do whatever, and went about my merry way. And then had this guy and had an opportunity to see him be interested in guitar. And that's what started it again for me.
Yeah.
And at this point, music is like puzzles to us. Like we listen to a tune and we're like, that would be super fun to play. And it's like a puzzle. We sit and we go through the whole thing and learn, the chorus, the verse, the pre-chorus, and put all of it together. And that's the challenge and the fun of it, is getting it all put together and understanding it and really hearing it rather than just listening to music. And I think that's the difference between music connoisseurs, right? People that enjoy music, right? Do you really hear it? And I know that sounds silly, but it's totally true. You don't really hear it. You just listen.
And also, like, the quality of music that you listen to, the quality of the bands that you listen to. There are bands that you listen to a record once and you've heard everything. You've heard it. Yep. You've heard all there is to it. Sure. There's bands like the Beatles where you can listen to a song like A Day in the Life, or you can listen to one of those songs and you can listen to it 50 times, and every time you listen to it, you're like, I never heard that, but I never heard that before. Wait, is that a is that a cowbell playing? What is that? Sure. that little bit right there. I've never heard that before, and I've listened to this song 100 times. Right. I can still pick out new things from a lot of bands that I really, really dig. There are these layers and these subtleties that you can tell their love of song. It just, like, they use the studio as an instrument, and totally. Queen was that band, and the Beatles were that band. A band like the Rolling Stones, as much as I love them, they were a band that went in and saw, you kind of get the impression they saw the studio as a chore, as a necessary evil to go out and play. Right.
What you had to do.
Yeah.
And speaking to that point too, as well, like, when you become a study of music, Liam and I, like, going through all Guns N' Roses stuff, and from a guitar player going through Slash stuff, you listen to Appetite for Destruction and you can tell where his mind was, because you can hear the formula all the way through that album, right? Where he was at in E, and how he put things together, and how he puts a pre-chorus together that's just sort of the lighter version of the actual riff, and where the riffs come from and the little pieces and how a song comes together. So like I said, that sort of speaks to my puzzle point. Yeah. It's so much fun. It really is.
When I was first starting out, YouTube didn't exist yet. In fact, there was no internet.
Right.
And the
No
best I could.
tablature either, right? No tabs. No
There
Guitar
was
Player magazine
there was
tab.
Guitar World, and there was Guitar for the Practicing Musician at the time.
Okay.
And every month they would come out, and there would be like 3 songs in each.
Mhm.
But it was a crapshoot on whether or not it was a song that you actually wanted to learn.
Sure.
I remember getting one and learning the solo to "Wait" by White Lion.
Oh,
And
great solo.
Vito Bratta,
Vito Bratta. Yep.
amazing player.
Yes,
That
he is.
solo, and Nuno Betancourt, another one.
Oh,
The solo, yeah,
super better.
Just an amazing player and very tasteful in like these little mini compositions that he makes when he's got so many cool licks and
Right.
cool phrasing, and the effortless vibrato that he's got,
Right.
like the pinch harmonics and not as heavy as like Zach Wilde uses,
Right.
but like these little subtle nuances where it's like that note right there, that just
And he kind of falls in that category where you're talking about underrated people, right? Where really only guitar connoisseurs know who Nuno Betancourt is.
Yeah.
Not only connoisseurs really know who Vito Bratta is.
Yeah.
The guy from Whitesnake, what was his name? Adrian
Vandenberg.
There you go.
And Vivian Campbell played with him too.
And Vivian Campbell as well.
Yeah.
Like you really only had, I guess my point is,
well, John Sykes was the one that played on Slide It In and the Whitesnake album. That was all John Sykes's guitar work. And then Adrian Vandenberg did a couple of the solos.
Okay.
And he came in and did the solo to Here I Go Again, I think, is the only thing he played on the self-titled. And then he played
And that was kind of about my age group, right? That's where I was introduced to Whitesnake, was that amazing video.
That album, that album came out like just gangbusters.
Yes, it was.
I had heard of them at the time. They were kind of a lot more bluesy band, because
Right.
Slide It In was like, I guess you could compare them to like Aerosmith.
Mhm.
They kind of had
Very Joe Perry-ish inspired. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all of those guitarists or amazing musicians, mind you, that just only a real like guitar connoisseur or a music connoisseur would really know about.
Yeah. Hello, Finnegan.
Hi, Finny. What's up, dude? Yeah, man.
So Liam, what bands have you been listening to that your dad hadn't heard before that you turned him on to?
I turned him on to Gojira. He has a shirt right now.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
I will give him that I was a big so the death metal thing, and Liam will laugh about this, but he gets into a lot of like some of the death metal and the really growly, like, for me, if there's no melody and you can't hear the guitar, like I can't get with it, right? Like if I don't like the singer, I can't get with it. And Gojira was one of those bands, and I just didn't listen. And they came to town, would play with the Deftones, and we did a little bit of listening beforehand, but I never really listened.
Okay.
And I love them now. They're great. They're their own niche, right? Like they what is his name? Joe. I can't remember. Yeah, Duplantier, is the lead singer, and then his brother is the drummer. Anyway, just from a musician standpoint, the way that they put together music is pretty unique. A lot of the tapping stuff and his style and how they put these, everything's drop D, super growly and amazing, but they put on the most amazing show. Like the Deftones are a very established band, and they headline that show. But I've never not wanted to be the Deftones so much in my life and have to go on after Gojira that night, because they slayed it. Yeah, they did a really good job. So yeah, Gojira definitely is one for Liam that he turned me on to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna go. I've heard a couple of songs, nothing that really knocked me out, but if you're on your recommendation, I'll do a deep dive. I'll check out.
Yeah,
check out
please do.
like a
Yeah.
couple of stuff. Yeah.
So we're actually going to do, so they just put out another album, which I think in hindsight, I think is just a B-side from this last album they did called Fortitude. The tune is called Our Time Is Now. And it's a little catchy, but definitely a very cool song. And then that whole Fortitude album is great. I think that they won a bunch of awards for it. They're a very established band. Yeah, definitely worth checking out, Butchie.
Okay, I'll do it.
Very cool.
Liam,
Mhm.
what bands like what's in your record collection? What I want to say record collection. Nobody has records anymore. In your music library, what's an album that people would be surprised or shocked that you have?
Surprised or shocked?
Yeah. And I'm not talking like, Backstreet Boys or something like that, like something that you would consider like not embarrassed to admit to, but just something that's not the metal that you normally listen to and play.
Bluegrass?
Bluegrass. I've been listening to a lot of bluegrass, like Billy Strings, or I guess you could count Sturgill Simpson. It's more country, but some of the stuff they
Some
just
Sturgill
bluegrass.
Simpson.
So
We kind of go down the country road and the bluegrass road, and I was introduced by a few people to that kind of stuff. And I'm here to tell you, any guitarist out there, Billy Strings is the best flat picking guitarist on the planet Earth.
I saw the
Go on
video.
YouTube, watch a video of this kid play, and it will blow you away.
I saw the video you posted, and I watched that, and that guy is fantastic. Absolutely
Ridiculous.
absolutely.
Steady, rock steady right hand.
Yep.
Just amazing. And speaking to our point earlier, just if you feel it, man, like it doesn't matter what it is,
Right.
really. You get stuck in a rabbit hole, and you like to play this and you like to play that. And I think I try to press out on Liam where if you feel it, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's what music is about. If it grabs you and makes the hair on your arms stand up, let's play it.
I took my brother Will to go see Will Hogue a couple weeks ago. He's I hate to classify him as country, but he kind of is country-ish, but he also has these really just like bar band rock songs that kind of feel like they could have been played by Tom Petty. And then effortlessly switches into acoustic country, and then does like a rockabilly stuff and some kind of symphonic blues. And I mean, he's all over the map as far as like his songwriting goes. Somebody referred to him as Americana. And again, Americana has this connotation of kind of like Johnny Cash playing with an acoustic guitar, and that's like a single facet of what he's about. He's got 13 or 14 albums, and I think I have every one of them. But again, look him up on YouTube. Fantastic. His new album is called Wings on My Shoes, I think. And it's awesome. It is.
I think the last time I came over, we talked about that guy and you showed me some videos. So I think I have him dialed up.
Yeah, he's.
But those are the favorite kind of at least my favorite kind of artists, and the ones that I like to introduce to Liam that don't ever get themselves super pigeonholed, and they reserve the right to make whatever music moves them, right? Like I talk about Sturgill Simpson. He's that country, and country music is this horrible barricade, right? They have this idea of what it's supposed to be, and this guy is just like the Willie Nelson. He's like an outlaw. Like he's like, if I want to make a rock album, I'm going to go out and make a rock album. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
And, doesn't care if he sold albums. That's what he needed to do to get it out. So that's our favorite kind of thing, our favorite kind of artist.
Agreed. And people that like, they're doing it for their own gratification and their own love of music, and not
right
because they feel they have to appeal to a certain audience or like record company pressure.
Well, and that's the thing, right? That they just want to sell records or sell, tunes, or I mean, music is so different now with iTunes, and it's not about all of that. It's about how many t-shirts you sell, basically. But just being able to make whatever music you want to, man.
Yeah.
So
Back in the day, I mean, you remember CDs, Liam, where those are what we call albums, and you get a collection of 10, usually 10 songs. A record was good for about 45 minutes of decent quality. Anything longer than that, it kind of suffered. But CDs, same thing. It's like it had a specific play order, and it kind of, a lot of the time there was a lot of care that went into the song order, so that it kind of told a story. Or they start off with a rock song, and then they'd go something lighter, and then they'd hit a ballad 3 or 4 songs in, then they'd end that side with another rocker, and then the next side would be kind of the same thing, and they'd go into like the deeper cuts and things like that would probably never get airplay. And
like a story. It's like a story.
Right. That's all gone, because now people just have the option of, it's like we used to be able to buy 45s, which was a single, the single, and then there was a B-side, which was probably one of the throwaway songs off of that album. And you'd buy it for 75 cents or $1, which shows how old I am.
But that's a cool contrast between this conversation, right? Like, you have about 10 years on me.
Yep.
And I have a lot of years on this guy. So we kind of see the whole, you talk about records and 45s and B-sides, and I can talk to you about CDs and lining up outside of Tower Records for a CD to come out before midnight the night before. And now there's iTunes, and you can nitpick tunes or have iTunes and just listen to whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
And how music has, in probably both you and I would say, being the grumpy old crotchety fucks that we are,
Yeah.
that it's kind of gone downhill. But an album was about artwork, it was about the experience, it was about, like I said, lining up outside Tower Records and meeting other people that enjoyed that album and can't wait to put it in the car and drive home and listen to it, and they just don't get that experience anymore, and it makes me sad.
Records used to have liner notes, so that the record was a big, the big packaging, big cardboard sleeves, and sometimes there'd be a gatefold. You could open it up, and there'd be a bunch of pictures inside. And as you slid the record out, they were in a little paper sleeve, and it usually had the lyrics on it, or a bunch of pictures, or like the credits. They'd talk about what the musicians were that played on it, which you don't really know now because you're just downloading the song. You're not getting all the information anymore. You can look it up, but nobody does that. And for concerts, we used to have to go to Ticketmaster, and it was at the Bon Marché at South Center, and they opened at 10 o'clock.
I do remember that.
And we would have to wait in the mall, like on they opened it. Yeah, they opened at like 8:30. But on Sundays, we were waiting in line. We were going to go get tickets to Paul McCartney.
Okay.
And what a friend of ours figured out is the Ticketmaster up in Vancouver, Canada, opens at 8 o'clock. No waiting. So we all gave him money for our tickets. He drove up to Vancouver. He made $40 on the deal, and he bought our tickets, and we got 5th row to Paul McCartney at the Kingdom.
Very cool. There you go.
And because if you're going up to Vancouver and you're going to Ticketmaster, it's like nobody's buying tickets for the Seattle show up there.
Totally.
Everybody at, like, there was line through the mall and out the door and down the block at South Center waiting to buy Paul McCartney tickets. And we were up there, no line. He was up there, no line. Just like, he called and he's like,
for you.
I got him. I'm coming back. I'm like,
what year was that? Do you remember?
I got the ticket. I think it was 80. It was like 87.
Oh, wow.
It was the Tripping the Live Fantastic. It was actually the live album that he released a few years later.
Okay. From that night, or?
From that night.
Nice.
It was recorded over 2 nights, and one of them was the Seattle show, and I was there.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
See, when you actually had ticket stubs and
Yeah,
would go on your phone, and
those are a few. Those are just the highlights. It's like I got Satriani and Van Halen and Def Leppard and the Scorpions. Um, I saw Dokken. I've seen Extreme. Uh, yeah, I got to see Van Halen.
yeah.
Um,
That's one band that I on a list of bands that I wish I would have been able to see at some point.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that makes me sad.
me too. I mean, I never got to see Queen. They stopped touring in like '83.
Really? Was it that early?
Yeah, they stopped. They didn't tour U.S. I mean,
Okay.
they did like the Wembley show was '86, I think.
Was it?
I
Oh,
don't
that's
think
right.
they hadn't really done much touring at that point.
Right.
Um,
And then Freddie went off and did his own thing for a little bit, and
yeah,
he wasn't well. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that was a
Music
bucket list.
changed so much, so
Huh?
much. I said music has changed so much.
It has, but it does this circular thing where somebody proclaims, "Oh, rock and roll is dead," and then another band kind of goes, "Yeah, screw you. No, it's
Yeah.
not," and they come back with some new flavor of it. That,
Right.
but the new flavor always has its roots in something that was like really popular.
Yeah.
Some band like the Glorious Sons comes out and they kind of harken back to the Stones and the Black Crowes rolled together.
Right.
And they're awesome. They're a fantastic band. They have kind of a southern vibe to them.
Right.
And they're terrific. Absolutely love them. Another band, Dirty Honey.
Oh, I like that band too. Yep.
Yeah.
They
So,
are really good.
yeah.
But yeah, that's rock and roll is cyclical, right? I mean, we all kind of inspire each other, and once you get old, like I said, like you and I, you can listen to a newer band and be like, I hear this in there, and I hear that in there, and yeah, the day that I started realizing that, I was like, I'm officially old.
Yeah.
Because you really don't hear anything. I mean, something that is completely new, right? Like they're all inspired by everything else, and that's the amazing part about it, right?
I tried not to ever have the opinion that some style of music was dead, because back when Van Halen came out, rock and roll was decidedly unpopular. Bands like the Cars and the Knack and these kind of pop rock kind of new wave bands
Right.
had started coming out. The Cure and and Flock of Seagulls and those and these heavy synth bands.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "Oh, rock and roll's dead. It's going to be this. This is going to be the future." And
Right.
it didn't last too long. I mean, they said the same thing with disco. The
Right.
the disco era was the late 70s, and Aerosmith was around in the late 70s. Van Halen was around in the late 70s, and they were fighting their way through it. And at the same time, Donna Summer was huge. And the Saturday Night Live soundtrack, or the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, was the biggest thing in the world.
Sure.
And and the Bee Gees and those bands. And
well, Queen made good with disco, right? I mean, Freddie was inspired by that, and
the Hot Space album was a lot of disco. And it's probably my least favorite Queen album, but there's some cool songs on it.
Sure.
And I got to appreciate the fact that Queen never repeated themselves. They were always willing to try something completely new. Look at
not be pigeonholed, not be told by a record company that this is the record that you need to make and these are the songs that are going to sell. Like, this is what inspires me, this is what I'm going to make.
And just to do something because they felt like they could. I mean, Crazy Little Thing Called Love is decidedly rockabilly.
Yes, easy. You hear Elvis in there.
Right, absolutely. Very Elvis-like. All the Hot Space was very disco and dance and kind of that throbbing, pulsing kind of dance tracks.
Sure.
And a lot of synthy kind of vibe. And then The Works, which was like, I loved it because it's really guitar heavy, and Hammer to Fall is like my favorite song on that record by
Yeah,
far.
hands down.
That song just,
Hands down.
yeah.
Yeah. They
Ab-
played that at Wembley. That was the tune, man. When
yeah.
they came back and put that together, that's what brought it home.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I can't watch that without getting a little teary eyed
I,
every
I,
time.
yeah. The first, like, I've watched that. I've watched the movie
Uh-huh.
5 or 6 times, and I always cry.
I too too.
There's like 4 spots where I start crying.
Oh
And
yeah.
one of them was when he comes out. When he comes out and he sees the reaction of the crowd. The first one is is that scene in when they're in Rio and the crowd is singing back to him.
Yeah.
And and I have 5 or 6 of the live DVDs
Yeah.
of various shows.
Mhm.
And if anything, that movie understated how loved they were. I mean,
Right.
there are clips of him doing the call and response, and and singing "Love of My Life," and hearing an unamplified crowd drowning out the band because they're
Right.
singing like everybody is singing.
I
And
think isn't that what sets those kind of bands apart? The ones that can make that connection with a crowd and the people that are singing all of their songs right back
and
to
they
them.
don't even know the language.
Right.
They speak Portuguese.
We were watching, I was scrolling through the internet today and something came up, The Killers, which is another great band. And they sang a tune called Mr. Brightside. And they had a video of them playing it in Scotland. And he sings the first verse, and then just the crowd bellows the chorus and sings it. I mean, in totally in time, melody, everything was
Yeah.
perfect. And it brought tears to my eyes. I was like, to have that connection as an artist with your audience,
Yeah.
forget about it. Like that's what this shit is all about.
Yeah.
It is. It just
Yeah.
is.
And
very few of those bands can do that.
there are very, very few bands
Yep.
that connect that way. And there's also, like, I don't want to speak specifically about any one band and slag on them, but there are a couple of bands that they get a little notoriety on their first album, and then all of a sudden they start thinking they're God's gift. They kind of have, and those bands almost never last more than 2 albums.
Right.
And I'm thinking of a couple specifically, and there's like more than one, and it's like it's a shame because there was some talent there and there was some good songwriting,
Right.
but ego can crush you.
Ego is a talent killer. It really is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. What else should we talk about?
Liam. So you've got, I think you probably have still a couple of my guitars. But yeah, okay, that's okay. What guitars are you mostly playing now? I see you've got a PRS.
Yeah, I got the PRS in the back here. Sometimes I play the Slash Les Paul. I think out of the entire guitar collection, that's probably the 2 that I play the most.
Okay, I see you playing the PRS a lot, and so you got, what is it, a gold top?
Yeah, we got a Slash gold top here. I'll grab it.
Okay. And I know you've got the Firebird. I love the Firebird.
The Firebird's my baby. That's home. There's nothing really feels like it.
That is just a comfortable guitar. Ooh, that's beautiful.
It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
Come over and play it.
Okay.
It's a pig. It's like 10 pounds.
Yeah.
It's definitely a Les Paul. But yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, there's your, what year is that? 80?
97.
97.
97 Les Paul Standard. It's just pretty.
Gorgeous.
It is.
Is it tobacco? Do they call it tobacco burst?
Yeah, tobacco burst. It's completely stock, and it's 12 pounds.
Yeah. Is it 12?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a beast. Get yourself a nice wide fat leather strap.
Oh yeah.
to-
We have actually, so DiMarzio Satriani, funny story actually. So when Liam played a show, he wanted to play the gold top,
Okay.
and he had just his regular strap, and he was playing his first tune with the gold top, and he had this just panicked look on his face, Butchie, and like the song ended, and I went up and I ran up and I'm like, hey, what's up, buddy? He's like, I'm gonna drop this thing, Dad. It's almost gonna fall out of the strap. And I go, okay, so we went out and bought one of the locking straps, the DiMarzio. Pusher is a godsend.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are,
Those are,
especially when you're holding a $4,000 guitar.
yes. Yes.
So
So are you playing with like a whammy bar or anything, Liam? Have you played anything with a Floyd?
no,
I
that's
do
a beautiful
have-
segue into what he wants Santa to bring him for Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah, let's
are you
let's
asking for a Charvel or an ESP?
Oh, I got my mind on an Ibanez JS.
Okay. The
Soda Blue
That's
JS.
96. Those used to be called the Radius. Yeah.
The super version of it, but the one that he wants is just the standard, the humbucker in the bridge, and then the single coil in the neck.
Okay.
It's a pretty guitar. We went and played it at Guitar Center, and he loves it. Just super shreddy, like maple neck. Yeah,
Like this one.
Yes, exactly.
kind of like that.
This one's a PVG90, and it is my favorite shreddy guitar. And it's got the Floyd.
That's as funny as he was doing. So that new Metallica tune that just came out, he did the cover of the solo, and Hammond just gets loose on the Miami bar and just with his PRS, the little floating floating bridge.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, like I can't even play like the last phrase because it's out of tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I go, okay, we can like stop the video and then we can just cut back in and then retune your guitar and we can finish it up. And then it wasn't that bad by the time it was done. But yeah, he needs a Floyd Rose to be able to do all the Kirk Hammett shit that he likes to do.
Honestly, the Floyds, they add this weight, this mass to the bridge that adds just a harmonic quality to the tone.
Oh, that adds the sound as well.
It changes the sound, and I really love them. I mean, even playing it without the bar, because because the springs in the back that are adjusted, and if you've got it floating, when you bend really hard,
yeah,
everything else goes flat. You're
right.
bending and everything, it compensates by relaxing the string tension in the other strings.
Right.
So it's very cool the way it works.
So you ever watch a guy his name is Ola England? He does like YouTube videos.
Yes.
Are you him at all? Okay.
Yeah.
So he has his own guitar company and they have a bridge system. It's a little bit different and I can't speak to exactly what it is, but it's kind of like a Floyd, but not a Floyd, but same concept where you can lay it all the way down and lay the strings limp and then bring them back up and everything's back in tune. It's supposed to be a better version of the Floyd Rose. So check it out. Yeah.
There's I've always wanted a Steinberger with a trans trim.
Okay.
And I played one. I got to play one, and it adjusts the string tension, but as you push down on the bar, the saddles are actually like these roller balls.
Yeah.
And they move individually to keep everything.
That's kind of that's just how that concept I was just talking to you about. Is it Solar? I think it's Solar is the company, his guitar company.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out. The same concept where it compensates with
Yeah.
with the whammy bar.
And hey, how are you, my dear?
I'm okay. I'm a little under the weather.
Oh no. Do you want to talk about music? Who's your favorite band?
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can choose my second favorite. You know, if we need someone a little I don't know. What are you looking for?
I'm not. I'm just asking. We're talking about all kinds of music.
Oh,
We're doing
awesome.
his video for his that he wanted to do a video about talking about music.
Oh,
So
awesome.
we're recording. You're on record.
Oh, hi everybody.
Hello. Love ya.
Foo Fighters.
Okay.
Hi, Butchie.
Bye.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, you know, and again, I really love Dave Grohl for the Sound City doc and what is it, the Strange Highways?
Dave Grohl is just an amazing human
Yeah,
being. That guy is just an amazing human being. He does good stuff. Is all about, you know, kiddos playing guitar and music in general. Even if you don't like the music that he makes,
He
he's
seems
still
like just such a genuine guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He's definitely a contribution to rock and roll in his whole. Brings people together. He's like a satellite.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's like
Definitely.
a magnet. He's like a magnet of goodwill.
Right. Like, I don't think you ever find anybody that like says, hey, Dave Grohl's an asshole. It doesn't exist.
Zakk Wylde thought he was.
Really?
Because he wrote a song with Ozzy.
Okay.
And Zakk thought it was a really wimpy song, and he hated having to play it when he was in Ozzy's band.
Oh no.
He actually said, if I ever see that motherfucker, I'm gonna punch him in the face. And
That's probably not somebody that you want to hear that from.
Yeah, like an enraged Viking. Yeah, I think I would be a little afraid of Zakk Wylde.
So speaking of Zakk Wylde, did you see? So Pantera has what they're calling Pantera tribute band put back together. They did their first show last night.
With Dime.
How do you feel about it? There you go. That's a good. I know it's a touchy subject.
It's not. I have a hard time calling it Pantera because Dime and his brother are both gone.
Yep.
Just like even if they reformed Van Halen with Wolf,
right,
it wouldn't be Van Halen.
I'm pretty sure Wolf wouldn't have done it from everything I've read about.
I don't think he'll ever do it.
Right.
And that's fine.
Did you hear that they wanted to try to put it back together, and Jason Newsted wanted to play bass, which makes no sense to me anyway, because Michael Anthony's still alive, and they wanted Joe Satriani to play guitar. And who did they want to sing?
I think it was Sammy
They wanted Sammy to come and play, or Sammy to sing again.
I got mixed feelings about that. If they don't call it Van Halen, and it's some kind of a celebration of Van Halen, I'm totally cool with that. You know, and like the closest equivalent I could give where I'm okay with it is Dweezil Zappa touring and playing his dad's music, calling it Zappa Plays Zappa.
Okay.
Totally cool with that. He's not presenting himself as Frank.
Right.
He's celebrating Frank's music and legacy, and he's playing the songs. And if anybody has a license to the legacy, I think it's Dweezil Zappa.
Right. No, I get it. So one step further, how do you feel about Brian May and everybody going out as Queen with Adam
Lambert?
Yes.
I'm
cool. I went to that show.
I was not I have never been a fan of American Idol.
Okay.
And when I heard that they were going to tap him to play, to do, you know, to fill in, to be the new singer of Queen. He's not replacing Freddie, and he'll admit that.
He very openly admits it in the show.
Yeah, and he is. There's a Netflix doc called "The Show Must Go On," and
yep.
he is
very good documentary.
Yeah, honestly, that sold me on him, as like, okay, I like this kid,
Yeah.
and he's got a great voice.
Yeah.
Nobody's got Freddie's range,
Right.
let's be honest. Um,
He was just a fan and was like excited and honored to be the one that was chosen
Absolutely.
to be able to go out and honor him. And
Yeah.
you got to respect that, man. You really do.
Absolutely do. Like Brian and Roger said, he isn't impersonating Freddie. He's making it his own and doing his own thing in a celebration of the music. And I'm cool with that. I wish him all the best. And I like when Queen was with Paul Rogers, who has a completely separate vocal style. He's very blues based, free, Bad Company. I had a hard time with, they build it as Queen and Paul Rogers, and okay, that's great. None of the songs knock me out, and anytime they're going to get out and play, any Brian May is good Brian May, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
Of course, I'm going to listen and check it out. The Adam Lambert stuff, yeah, great. If they're going to tour and they're going to put on shows, I'll check them out. Absolutely, happily.
But I guess my point is that are we all really going to get hung up on the fact if they call it Queen or if they call it a tribute to Queen or a tribute to Pantera, and it all becomes just what we're defining it as, when it's just, how do you take, so when there's surviving members of bands and someone significant has passed away in that band, who is it of us to judge them to want to go out and still be able to play their music that they contributed to?
You're right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. Like, I don't have any claim to Pantera to tell them it's okay.
So Rex and Phil are still alive, which were huge parts of the band Pantera. Sure. And
I don't have any.
Is it us to say you can't go out and tour? And Zach Wild and then the guitarist, or I mean the drummer from Anthrax. Like, I watched videos last night and they tore it up, man.
Yeah,
they tore it up.
Charlie Benante, is that his name?
The drummer.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. And then Rex, I forget his last name.
Rex Brown.
Right. I just have had passionate conversations with people, and Pantera's, a very established metal band, right? And you get that Pantera fan that's like, this isn't Pantera, and I don't give a shit. I have a 12-year-old kid that has never gone to see, and seen a live Pantera show, and Phil Anselmo is like one of the best frontmen ever.
Are you a Pantera fan, Liam?
Huh?
Liam, are you a Pantera fan?
Big Pantera fan. Like, Dime is absolute super influential.
Superhero. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a superhero, Marvel superhero.
Yeah.
He has endless riffs. His creativity, not just for like power chords, but just how he structures most of the songs that he's written. It's just super cool, and it's amazing how deep his bag of tricks are. So
yeah,
he's unique. He's one of those guitarists that stood out.
And also his tone is like recognizable, like arguably one of the most recognizable.
And I have created the biggest tone snob in the world. We will sit here, Butchie, with like Amplitude and Bias Effects and all of these amp sims that I have for hours, and we'll go through tone more than we actually play.
That makes me very proud. Having a signature sound and having a sound that, like, what sounds good to you. I have 5 amps.
Mm-hmm.
I have my favorites, and I have, like, just today, there's something about it snowed up here, so there's a little bit more humidity, and there's a little bit right now today, everything sounded like shit. All of my guitars sounded really tinny.
Yeah.
Everything sounded it sounded really grainy. It didn't have that warmth and that richness to the distortion. And I'm playing through the JO, and I've got, it's got beautiful saturation. It's modeled after an Engel Fireball, so it's got like these super high distortion, and the crunch wasn't there. It just sounded really really grainy,
Right.
and I just couldn't get. So I switched over to the little solid state thing, which was I was playing through, and it's remarkably consistent across like weather, you know. But
Right.
any of my tube amps right now just sound like slapped ass.
Right.
So yeah,
How do you feel? Another segue. I'm gonna segue our conversation again. Amp sims as compared to classic pedal board racks and whole shooting match.
I like, so I have two vamps. I have a vamp 2 and a vamp 3.
Yeah.
I love them in that I couldn't afford to have an army of amps. I couldn't have a Marshall stack and a Mesa and an Angle and a Fender Twin and a AC30 and a reverb and all these. You know, I couldn't do that.
Right.
I couldn't afford it. I don't have room for it.
Of course.
So having emulations that are close is a big win.
And yeah, just even being able to have the room for everything. But and I'm still a layman, but the things that they do with these things are pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I have to say.
I agree.
It is super fun to go through a lot of these tone banks and just dial up Brian May. And it sounds a lot fucking like his tone. It really does.
It does. And
it really does.
Here's the thing too, is not only the amp sound, but playing around with a specific effect.
Right.
It will inspire you to try new things. It'll kind of dictate how it wants you to play. So if you're playing a clean sound with like if you're playing a clean sound with a lot of chorusing, it gives you that kind of washy sound that makes you want to play long open chords and strummy kind of stuff. Or you play a little lighter, or you add some digital delay, and then all of a sudden you're playing to it. You're playing against the delay, and it kind of
dictates what you want to play.
Yeah, it forces you to play different ways. So like that in itself is probably one of the best practice regimens.
Sure.
If you feel yourself getting into a rut, so you feel like you're not making progress, change your guitar tone. So if you're playing crunchy or you're playing detuned, go to a clean sound with chorus and switch to your neck pickup and just play for like at least a day. And it'll completely change the way you approach the instrument, and you'll come at it with fresh ears.
Right. It's a whole new instrument.
Sonny, buddy.
It's been fun. Just, you know, as he's learning to be able to put together a pedal line and what sounds good where and why this sounds better here than it does there. It's been a huge learning tool as well.
What pedals are you playing through now, Liam?
Like actual real life pedals or digital?
Real life pedals, not just the Kirk Hammett wah.
But that's in the line.
I know that's in the line. I remember seeing it.
We have a big muff, like a fuzz pedal. We got the metal muff.
We have the drop pedal.
You have the drop pedal, which
is really cool.
Yeah.
A lot
handy. And also what's really nice is that it doesn't take a lot away from the tone. Like you won't notice much difference. I think that I think it takes away a little bit, like a tiny bit of sustain.
Yeah.
Like it makes it a little bit, the sound a little bit less thick, but instead of that, I think it's all good. So it's really close to being the same thing. So I use it a lot for live shows.
Okay. I have two of the hot tone. I have the echo pedal and the mod pedal.
Okay.
And they're fully programmable. So the echo is basically an emulator for 30 or 40 different digital delay emulators. So
Right.
it's got like the old ADA S1000. It's got like all these like the Boss digital delay stomp box, and you can program it in. It's got 10 patches, so you can
Oh.
program a patch, store it, and then switch through them.
Oh, very cool.
It's very cool. There's a whole line of them.
Right.
And I love them. I've got the Echo and the Mod, which is the modulation pedal. So it's got flange and phaser and tremolo pedal, and it's got like all these chorusing effects. It's really cool. Each one was under, like, I think they were like 70 or 80 bucks each,
Right.
fully
Yeah.
programmable.
And that's kind of the problem that we ran into too, is that we do a lot of these amp sims and then not being able to, like, when Liam goes out in live gigs, right, to be able to emulate that or bring out tone. So I have like a line 6 combo that has what's called Spider. So you can go in and there's, pre-done tones that you can download through the internet, and that's really good, and it's just a little combo amp. But
yeah, because it really helps a lot with since you don't know how to dial in a specific tone, or you can't get it just right, then you try to, or even with just a random tone, you want to find something close to that, so then you can mess around with it, especially on the combo amp. So the combo amp's pretty nice
but we're kind of in search for a gigging rig for him, like a 2x12, and then we've been kind of looking at the Mesa Boogie, the rectifier, the JP Mesa Boogie, just something with ball sack.
Yeah.
Then just put some pedals on it and let the kid rip.
Nice.
So
because the Ballard show, like the other guys, like Dave had like a Friedman. He had like a Friedman head.
100-watt head.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he was just drowned out. They mic'd up the little line 6, but it did not compare. There was no way that you could even hear, even over how they had, like, leveled the drums, right? Like, Jeff was really loud when he was playing Eruption, and then trying to come in, you couldn't really hear him at all. And I was like, oh, looks like Dad's got to spend $5,000 to get a gigging rig. So.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that much, but yeah, you need something with a little more.
To get something that is worth getting, right? I don't want to buy shit twice. So even if it's like an EVH, 100-watt head, or even a 50-watt head, and then a little 2x12, you don't need. Far gone are the days of a Marshall cab and like stacks behind, on the stage. You just mic up something that's loud and you can sound good.
Those the EVH3s, the 212 combos, I've heard really good things about them.
Okay.
And it's got Eddie's name on it, so it can't be bad.
It can't be wrong.
Yeah, it's the stamp of approval.
Yeah.
And also, I actually, for school, we have to read a book every month, and there's Eddie Van Halen autobiography where he did like an interview.
I got it.
I don't know if you read it. Here.
Yeah, I've got it.
You have it?
I have it.
Oh yeah. So there's this one specific part where it talks about when he was creating the Wolfgang, about how they went through like 250 sets of pickups.
Yeah.
Pickups.
Because up until that point, he'd only used a bridge pickup, and he had to find one that actually sounded good, together.
Right.
He had I think it was James Brown from DiMarzio that was working with him. I love that.
Yeah, so that's how because if he's picky about a pickup, then he's like a single pickup, then if it's going to be something huge like an amp, then it's definitely going to be good.
Absolutely.
And he was one of those, very few, the Steve Vais and the Frank Zappas and the Dweezil Zappas, they're not just guitarists, they're tinkers, right? They mess with shit and they want to make it different and weird. And what is it? it's not Gibson, or I forget what the video is on YouTube, but they go through all of Dweezil's guitars, and it
Yeah.
blew me away. All the crazy shit he's got, like
The
the
guitar collection.
half fretted guitars, and
Yeah, the micro frets. Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely his father's son.
yeah. It's Gibson Presents.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah, guitar collection of Dweezil Zappa. It was Mark
right.
Adisi, I think is its name.
Yep.
Fantastic. I love that series.
Yeah. A lot of, I mean, all the Gibson stuff that they do on YouTube is pretty cool. They go through, like, I think there's one of Slash and his whole guitar collection and telling stories. And being a guitar nerd, you sit there and watch it, all day. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I on weekends when I'm waking up and have my coffee, I come down here and I start like going down the rabbit hole of either guitar studio, like recording studio tours. Warren Hewitt has a podcast called Produce Like a Pro. He's a record producer.
Okay.
He's a really, really nice guy, very generous with his time and his knowledge. And his podcast is absolutely stellar.
Right.
I absolutely love it. Yeah. And
one of them watching a lot of Rick Beato too.
Beato, another, yeah.
The super sweet dude. Nothing bad to say about anybody. Shreddy guitarist in his own right.
Very good guitar.
Solid through and through.
Yeah.
He did an interview with Eric Johnson about tone.
He also
how he used to just be like a tone Nazi. Like he would sit for an hour before a show, or to record an album or whatever, and just figuring out how he wanted things to sound. He was so finicky about.
He could tell the difference between. I think the story was he could tell what kind of battery was in his wireless.
Yeah. Just how it reacted.
Yeah. And the guitar, your tone is your voice.
Yeah.
And there are some players where their tone is identifiable immediately.
Right. Those are the ones that set themselves apart. The Brian Mays, the Joe Satriani, the Steve Vai. They could play Mary Had a Little Lamb and you would know it was them playing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Liam, who's your favorite? Like whose guitar tone do you really wish you could emulate?
Pick your favorite kid. I dare you.
One of them. It's funny. I was gonna say Eric Johnson. Like some of the I don't know what he does to it, but it just sounds so. Especially with Cliffs of Dover, like that tone is like a super recognizable, and it
unmistakable.
Like, you could play anything. Like you could play a totally different genre. Like you could play like a jazz tune or like jam with a jazz band, and then you would be able to hear it. So
if you ever make it into a video where they're playing a certain song in a certain style, you have your own tone, right? Where you see those videos where like, what if this song was played in this tone or this style? And Eric Johnson's definitely one of them. Cliffs of Dover is actually the one that I've been trying to press on Liam to do next.
That's a great one. I want to hear that. I think Rick Beato did one where he was kind of pontificating. What would the Stairway to Heaven solo sound like if it was played by Eddie Van Halen or Angus Young or
right. And therein lies my point, right? Yeah. You have recognizable tone when you get into a video like that.
Yeah. I mean there's some tones that have changed from album to album. Like Nuno's tone in the first two Extreme albums were fantastic. Three Sides Live had a different tone, but it was really good. I wasn't crazy about the tone in the fourth album. Can't remember the name of it. And then the fifth album, Sade de Sode, can't remember the name of that one either. But the fifth album was fantastic. The fourth album, not so much.
Right.
It was a little brittle and a little thin sounding. It just sounded a little harsh.
Right.
Because he used to have this really beautiful, warm, crunchy, like really creamy, kind of creamy, sustainy tone.
The adjectives we use as guitarists for tone.
'Cause,
Yeah,
you know,
it's like foodie stuff, right? Like
Right. It's food.
it's all like
Yeah.
foodie adjectives.
'cause
Yes.
if you are
It's like on the back of your palate, like it starts buttery, but then it's like crunchy at the end.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
If you put two guitarists in a room and they started talking about like tone and bands, and then you put someone randomly that didn't know anything, they would probably have a lot of questions.
Or just get annoyed, like
We are pretty annoying.
Like,
aren't
yeah. Well, we're musicians, so annoying is kind of part of our
we? No
DNA.
doubt.
How it
Yeah.
sound crunchy.
How does something sound? Well, listen to it. Hear how
Yeah, exactly. Hear it. Don't listen to it.
hear how it's kind of tight but sustainy, and it has a little bit of fizzle to it, and it's like that's but it's still warm sounding and round, and yeah.
Having tone is always a run-on sentence of like 10 adjectives.
Yeah.
Yes. very much so.
So awesome.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic.
So much fun, Bushy.
So
Thank
much
you.
fun.
Love you guys. I miss you. I wish we could get together soon. We got to
Yes.
make it happen.
Please.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Love you guys.
We love you
We
too.
love you too.
Good night, Finnegan.
Night, Finn.
Good night, Uncle Jason.
He is.
Love you, Bushy. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for letting us be part of your first episode.
Yeah. I'll be in touch again very soon.
Please, let's do it again.
All right. Love you
All
guys.
right. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.